Obviously Mac played the 2 games before. We're definitely aware of it. But they're two full. Obviously, both quarterbacks can run their complete system. So it's not like you're completely changing everything based on it. Obviously, they have some different strengths and weaknesses based on who's playing. But I know we're going to find out at least a few hours before the game, so we'll be ready for both. Let me think. It was either Drew Wilkins or Joe Caniglio. So it was kind of one. Oh, I loved it. It was cool to see. We did it last year once or twice, and we'll see. We'll see what. It's fun to just move him around. He's a great player, and anytime we can get those guys in spots where they can rush and use all their skill sets, we always want to do that. We don't really, we're not necessarily trying to save stuff or anything. So whatever we got to do to win that week and whatever we think is best based on matchups, based on how they're protecting, we just want to put our players in the best position to go play their best and go win the game.
What did you think about Jared's game overall?
I thought he was awesome. Definitely his most complete game this year. Really back-to-back weeks where he's been playing hard, he's been playing tough, he's been physical in the run game, he's made he's made the game-changing plays, and he's been awesome. And I just look forward for him to continue to build off that.
Obviously, to have a fit of defensive ends or one so powerful like Jared, and then you have Byron who can chase a quarterback to the sidelines like he did.
Yeah, it's like changing a pitch, on those tackles and stuff, and not to mention, Josiah and Hampton also coming in. So they're obviously, really good. Joe does an unbelievable job with those guys, and we're lucky to have them. And we all know it all starts up front, and especially with the pass rush, and those guys are playing at a high level.
Obviously, for the players, it's a huge challenge to get their body turned around in a short time. From a coaching standpoint, what's the greatest challenge this week?
It's just what you said. Just it's obviously you're going to do the same amount of work in just a lot shorter amount of time. Yesterday was kind of Monday and Tuesday combined, and today's kind of I don't even know Wednesday, Thursday combined. I guess you're kind of doing it all. So it's just we're so as coaches we have such a rhythm of a normal week, and anytime you get out of that rhythm, you're always just trying to find that. Now, this isn't the first Thursday night game we've played either. We played a couple last year, so we're pretty used to it. We kind of knew what to expect going into the week, but it's definitely a grind early in the week.
You guys did a good job neutralizing Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor. Now you got Christian McCaffrey. What kind of challenge is that in terms of changing gears?
Yeah, and he's just like those two. Those are great backs, and we know. We saw it on the one play that got called back. We got obviously lucky with the hold call, and those backs change the game at any point. And we obviously didn't see McCaffrey last year. He's playing great. He's playing at a high level. He looks like himself. We know they're going to target him. He's going to be the focal point of our offense, and it's just a huge challenge. And it's a different player within a different system, and they all provide their challenges based on who. And it's hard to say which one is harder than the other. I just know this week that this is the hardest challenge that we're going to face.
Chris, what about the challenge of him, though? They're using him a lot at receiver. I mean, look at his reception totals already, just to match up things that proposes.
Yeah, he brings that added element for sure, where some of the other guys are a little more traditional backs, where he brings more of the pass element, obviously, with all the targets that he's getting, whether it's checkdowns or actually going out on routes where he's primary in the target. So we know he's going to be a focal point of that, and yeah, that definitely provides a huge challenge as you're getting ready for him.
Obviously, a great game for Cam Curl. What are you seeing that he's doing to put himself in those positions?
He's just playing good, clean football. He's always tackled great. We've always thought he can play really good in the deep part of the field, and it was good to see him high point those balls and come down with a few. And he's been tackling, he's been communicating, he's playing at a really high level. So we're really excited about him.
Last season, the Rams came up with back-to-back stops to end the game and flip the tide. What do you remember about that?
It was just it was a good win. And obviously, we're both teams are going to be going back and looking at that, and just any division opponent or common opponent, you're going to go back and take what you can, and just looking at the film, but really not worried about that right now. Just want to go get this one on in a couple days here.
What stood out to you about just the way Quentin Lake's played through the first 4 weeks?
He's been awesome. PBUs, perimeter control, hitting blocks, making tackles. He's really just done what he did all year last year. And, you know, he's awesome communicating at a high level. So, you know, we use him in a lot of different roles, and he excels at them all.
Guys talked about how much space Fred Warner can cover as an inside backer. What is it like preparing for someone who can kind of like an anomaly?
Yeah, he's the best in the business for a reason, you know, all phases in the locker room. He's an incredible teammate and leader for that squad. So you always got your challenge when you're playing Fred. I mean, dude just never leaves the paint. Like, he's always in there. He's always around the ball. One of the best, if not the best, at getting the ball out. So, you know, again, all phases, you got to account for him because he's going to be around.
With the familiarity that these two teams have with each other and for you, does it feel like a heightened chess match, for lack of a better word, as you prepare?
No, I mean, I guess I can just speak for myself. You know, you're preparing for the next opponent. Like, yeah, you know, Kyle and Salah and you know, other guys there, but you know, it's about these players that are on the field and getting them ready to compete against their really good players. You know, so I don't think too much about that kind of stuff. We got our own, you know. I don't want to call them problems, but we got a lot to solve getting ready for a short week just like they do, you know, so playing who you're playing really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a challenge, but again, the cool part is it's the same for both teams, right? So there's, you know, you're used to it by now. I think 10, 12 years ago, whenever they started these Thursday night games, if not before that, probably was a bigger challenge because it was like throwing us off all our rhythm, if you will. Now we're used to that. You're getting one, maybe 2 games a year. It's a unique night. It's fun. I think the players have grown to really like it. I know it's tough on them, you know, today and tomorrow and stuff like that. But the adrenaline gets going on Thursday, and they're playing, you know, on the only game in town, if you will, only game in the league. So it's a fun deal.
As complete of a player as Puka has already shown to be, in what ways has that been maybe even more so the case this year? Like, what's new or different than he's shown in terms of being that well-rounded?
Yeah, I think I've said it quite a bit in terms of just his approach going into this year, being into year 3. He took a step, in my opinion, in every facet of his game. The understanding. He's always understood football. It always has made sense to him, particularly in the ball snap. Like, his spatial awareness and feel and timing is, you know, it's stuff that's uncoachable. And that's what's made him very special amongst other things. But, you know, just fine-tuning stuff within his routes and you know, all that. It's been cool to watch, and through four games, it's you know, he's obviously off to a really good start, and love to continue to see that from him.
When you have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who just seems to be so calm and collected late in the game, how does that affect, you know, the approach and the risk that you guys are willing to take, you know, in those clutch situations?
Yeah, he's been there more than probably anyone in this league right now, or at least, you know, with a handful of other guys. But I mean, he's always good. He's always on. But there's just something about those special players when it comes down into the fourth quarter and you have to go get a score, whether it's 3 or 7 or what have you. You just know he's going to deliver, you know. So it never gets old. I'll never personally take it for granted watching what he does for this offense and how he leads in those moments. I love watching him enjoy those moments too. It's pretty cool. I know the players around him feel it, and more importantly, the players have so much confidence in him because of, you know, he's been there, done that.
Can you elaborate a bit on your receiving corps and their outstanding blocking downfield? I see them working.
Yeah, no, that's a standard in that room in this building, right? You show me a good offense, usually more times than not, you're going to have receivers that are willing to do stuff without the football, and we have a bunch of guys that care about other people's success, and that shows more than just saying it. That shows when you put on the tape and they're doing all the little dirty work for their teammate and for their brother, not only to score points for the Rams, but to watch those guys have success. So it's a standard that's been in this building. It's a standard that, you know, Yarbs has always had. If you don't block, you don't play, and I think that shows through.
Before you were in this building with Matthew, did you see whether either talking to people or seeing on film or just being on an opposing sideline, see that calm he has in those moments, or is it something you really come to appreciate now that you're
I've always appreciated it. I think anyone that's, in our business that really watches this, it's you've always appreciated Matthew Stafford from afar. I just am very fortunate to be able to get to hang with him every single day and see what kind of cool dude he is on and off the field, on top of all the unbelievable stuff he does when he's on the field. So, no, it's always, again, never take it for granted. Just the moments that you get with him. Who knows how long he wants to go? I think from all our vantage points, I think we'd all agree he can go as long as he wants. He's playing some dang good football right now, and more importantly, he's enjoying it.
Are there any issues with the offense or concerns you have that maybe get overshadowed by the way you guys won that game?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the process of it all the time too, right? I mean, sometimes you put up a lot of points and you go back and you're like, man, there was a lot that we left out there. Sometimes you played a really clean game and you didn't score as much for whatever reason, So there's so much more to it. You enjoy it for the players the most when you win football games, because you're never going to say sorry for winning a football game in this league, no matter how it happens. But then you go right back to work. You get a good sleep in you, and you're right back to work on Monday to improve on those things, to see how good you can be as a team, unit, position group, player. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it.
What is the challenge like to find the right spots and moments to use a player like Tutu? And he can do, obviously, but you also have one ball and the top two receivers as good as they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you said, and I think I said it last week. I mean, there's one ball for a lot of guys that you want to get the ball to because they deserve the ball. But there's only so many plays, and again, there's that one ball. So it's I wouldn't call it necessarily a challenge. It's just, hey, within the play, within the framework, the ball's going to find where it's going to find based on the coverage contours, based on what happens up front. That play wasn't necessarily, I guess, designed for him per se, but that's just two players making incredible plays. And not only that, it's like you just never know. You never know in this league when the ball's going to find your way. But then again, going back to Matthew, he sees things that you just sometimes don't even talk about. I mean, that was just two players making something come to life, great protection in that moment. And obviously we saw what happened and what the result was.
When you have a rookie like Terrence who's getting game reps and is helping on scout team during practice, how do you evaluate and make sure he's still progressing?
Yeah, I mean, we're always out there just because he's on scout team. And, we might be talking to some of the guys that are starting and stuff like that about whatever rack we just had. You're still watching. And, it was a cool moment, not to get too far into it, but even last week, just Higgs watching, Ferg in a scout team rep and then immediately going right to him for some feedback. That's awesome. That's just, players taking accountability for each other and their teammates. And, so much growth can happen in those moments when you are in those scout teams. So, again, as professionals, whether you're playing, whether you're not playing, you're always working to improve. And when your number's called, you got to be ready.
Sanford. Oh.
You've been in a few years on both sides of this rivalry. So how would you characterize it? Is it a big deal for players and coaches when these two teams meet, or is that a pain?
Again, for me personally, no, it's not. I mean, I respect the heck out of that organization from the top down. I respect the heck out of Kyle. He's taught me so much, and I had so many awesome years with him, learning from him, watching him lead. And just be in control of that locker room and in that building. So, but again, like when we're game planning, when the game's on, it's, you're just watching your players go out and do their thing. And because again, it's always going to come down to them. So, I love those guys. There's some staffs that I know more than others. Obviously that staff, I know those guys more than anyone outside of my brother in Green Bay. I always love them, but for that 60 minutes of football, obviously, we know the result that we want, just like they do.
San Fran has a new DC this season. What have you seen, San Fran evolve on tape, and how were you specifically, preparing for that?
Yeah, he's again another guy that I know quite well. No, they've obviously he's back after a few years not being there. They've played good defense, but what you see when he's in the fold, it's just there's nothing simple about their defense, but they make it look simple. because their guys are just on it and they play so hard. And a lot of times the way I look at it is when you see a defense playing hard for 60 minutes, every single guy, it's because they have clarity in their head. Like they know what is being asked for them, and their assignments, and they're able to go out and play at the maximum speed to be as good of a defense as they can. So his track record speaks for himself in terms of Saleh. I know the players respect the heck out of him, and rightfully so. And it's going to be a great challenge. They're a great defense.
What was kind of the evaluation after the league game? What, if any, changes did you make for the
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously always emphasizing technique and fundamentals of our protections, keeping our pad level down, making sure that we're staying connected in our protection, forcing the ball to get higher, quicker, a little bit of everything, not just one thing. Just making sure we detail it up day in, day out.
I know you guys didn't block last week for any block, but did you notice an improvement in that?
Definitely. You look at and they were coming. They were a good rush unit. They were a good field goal block unit in Indy, and made an emphasis on keeping our pads down and being at the line of scrimmage and holding them at the line of scrimmage. And credit to our guys. I mean, we got the right people here. We really do. We got the right kind of players, the right kind of guys that want to fix it. They don't want to do wrong, and for them to come in and self-correct and make those changes and make it important. And then obviously Sean last week emphasizing it to the team, and all those things are key and critical to moving forward in a positive way.
You guys have certainly approached kickoffs different. Is that by the rule change or by analytics?
Yeah, there's a combination. I think, when you move the touchback from the 35 to the 30, that 5 yards of field position, in the average drive start last year was like the 29.6 or something on a return, right around the 30-yard line. And so you're saying that's a pretty equal variance between, hey, giving up a return versus kicking a touchback, where you move it to the 35, now you're saying, hey, 5-6 yards per kick. Do we want to be doing that? We're hoping to score a lot of points and kick off a bunch. We don't want to give 50 yards of 40 yards of field position every game. So just coming with that approach, and like I've said before with Cardi, his emphasis on it, and the way we practiced a lot of different styles, and Ethan continues to do it too, and just working some different kicking techniques and trying to get the ball on the ground. And I think that's the number one thing when you look at, from an analytical standpoint, is the ball on the ground is like the hang time now. And so your kicking team gets a little bit of an advantage, because otherwise hang time doesn't matter at all anymore. It's actually probably a little bit easier for the return team to get under it and have a head of steam moving forward, as opposed to the lower liner kick, which you're seeing around the league. I bet the hang time's probably about a second lower, or just under a second lower than it was in years past, because you don't want those returners to have the running start. But just credit to Cardi and the way he's been able to get the ball on the ground and hit his different styles of kick and manipulate the returners and hit it where they're not, and certain things of that space. So been really pleased. Got a lot of work to do. It's still early in the year.
Is that a night and day difference? I mean, when he's kicking a field goal, get under it, it seems like a golf shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Doing a kickoff like that seems like a line drive wedge.
Yeah, and so I think one of the biggest keys, continuing to stay, the combination between those two, like you just said, they're completely different ball flights, contact points. But what we try to do is make the swing as familiar and similar as possible, as opposed to, guys that come in at different angles and wrap around, or you change the swing style of the kicker. We're trying to move the ball to keep a similar approach, so that it doesn't change his leg swing, or put added pressure or strain on muscle groups or things that could cause an injury and things of that nature. So kind of a twofold with that. But to his credit, like I said, he's just done an unbelievable job with it. And it's early, got a lot of way to go. Last year, we've been doing it since the new kickoff rule. Just the way things kind of went last year, we just were letting it play out, and where the field position was on the return versus the touchback, never felt like it was, paramount to try to steal a couple yards here and there, with adhering the risk of that. And so this year with the touchback being changed, I think that was a big part from a philosophy standpoint of the organization and how we saw it.
Other teams have.
What was the trial and error process of figuring out how to approach that game?
A long time, just working at it, and just continuing to move where you set the ball up, where you put it on the hash, where you put it on the, where everything's at, and then what his leg swing looks like, as opposed to he could do it other ways, but not having some torque and different things and on different muscle groups and trying to replicate the same flight that we wanted without the added strain, without the stress. I mean, if you watch him, it looks pretty seamless. And then when you talk about, what are the growing pains with it, the short kicks, the touchbacks, trying to understand that we're okay with either at times. We don't want the short, but we're okay with the touchback every once in a while if it goes in the end zone untouched. That's part of doing business if you're hitting the ball where you want it. Kind of equate it to, I think Coach Kotwika did a great job equating it to golf with the guys of, you're on a par 3 and the green's the green, and if that's the landing zone, and if you hit a great ball and land on the landing zone, and wherever it goes after that, you're not trying to get it in the hole at that point, but wherever it goes after that point, as long as it stays on the green, you're in good shape. And then if you hit it in the end zone on a touchback, on a regular 35-yard touchback, that's kind of like, being in the middle of the green, not near the pin, or maybe you're just off on the fringe, you're okay. You can get up and down for a par versus, where you get the water ball is the short or the OB, kind of where's your area to miss?
Other teams have utilized that strategy as well, but this team statistically has had better results with just in terms of starting field position. What do you attribute that success to?
A lot to do with the ball getting on the ground. I really do. I mean, obviously we've had a couple, 3 touchback minors or something like that over the year, and then we've gotten some balls on the ground that have bounced around. Also had, a couple that bounced right to a returner. And again, we got to be able to cover those and knock hands down and play violently and gang tackle and swarm. But I think the kicking style has a lot to do with it, to be quite honest. I mean, I wish I could say it was something really huge schematically we were doing and coming up and reinventing the wheel. But hitting a great kick to get on the ground and create hang time to allow our guys to get a head start, that's the biggest difference.
Have you seen out of Josh behind the scenes that's let him grow into a style that, like he said, he never really tried it until just a few months ago?
Yeah, I mean, he said he haven't tried that kick.
He said he's never really done the kickoffs that way.
Oh, all right. Maybe, he hadn't done it whenever he said, that's when we started it. No, but I think just the confidence, like last year building up to it, like gave him the, when he was working on that and wasn't having the success the same way early, and it became more of a spiral kick at certain times and just trusting and going back to it and knowing that we have his back if something doesn't go the way it's supposed to go down, and I think that confidence helps him, and then the guys the way they're hunting right now and be able to go after the ball and attack and know how vital that field position is in these tight ball games. He's just a really good football player, great mental mindset, and encouraged about where he's at right now.
Okay, from a coaching test to be able to prepare the game balls ahead of game day?
I honestly don't know if that's how much of an impact. I know it helps our equipment guys on game day not have to spend an hour or hour and 15 minutes doing the K-balls, but honestly, our guys have done such a great job. Twan and his crew have done such a great job of preparing those in the years past that there's minimal difference of that. It is kind of nice, I guess, being able to kick the game ball on a Thursday for 3 punt reps and 3 field goal reps or whatever, just to get a feel for what the actual ball is itself. But again, they've done that for years and prepared so many that we get them in practice that are almost the same. So I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Chase, I know this is going back, but this is the first time we've had an opportunity to speak with you since the Philly game. So what's that like for you in the moment and in the immediate aftermath when those kind of kicks are blocked?
It's frustrating. It definitely is, because you know how much you work and how much the team pours out, and to let guys down at that point and feel like we're not part of a big victory, that hurts. You don't sleep for a couple of days, but then it's about what's the right thing to do. How do we respond? What are the corrections we need to make? Whether it's techniques or personnel or ball lift or like X, Y, and Z, you name it. Like, we just got to attack the problems, and that's kind of what our job as a coach is, always to identify and attack the problems. And I think sometimes it can be a learning lesson for you, and actually a good thing. If sometimes when you win or things go your way, it might not be exactly what you want, and the process might not be right, but you could handle the process being right and the results not coming. because eventually they will if your process is right. Good. Thank you, guys.
How's your hamstring feeling?
Good. Feels good. Yeah, much better. No, I mean it's not. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but this game is not 100% health for really anybody. So I felt a lot better than what I thought I would, and I feel a lot better now than what I thought I'd feel after.
What's the biggest challenge for you personally on a short turnaround like this?
It's the physical part, like we talked about last week. I think it's just if you can come out healthy and feel good, typically you turn it over and you don't have as many issues. But if you get banged up in the game, obviously you need a little bit more time for some of the soreness to calm down and, just to mentally prepare, do some treatment and stuff. But I feel pretty good, so I don't see too big of a issue for me this week.
All NFL defenses hit hard and are aggressive, but the 49ers, at least through the last few years, have been a team that seems like the week after teams play them, it's very difficult. So what has made them or playing against them, what's your kind of, how would you characterize?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a culture that they've established there a long time ago. I thought it was D'Amico. Obviously, he had a lot to do with that before when he was there, because I mean, it's the same thing. Week one, that was one of the most physical games I've been a part of or seen. Even if it wasn't me partaking in the physicality. But yeah, they're doing a good job of teaching that over there. Historically, I've had solid games against them, but even in those games, you come out beat up pretty good because those dudes fly to the ball. You got Fred in the way that he leads that defense. Everybody else just kind of falls in place and they follow what he's doing. So. Like I said, D'Amico clearly established something there, and maybe it was even before that. And then just continuing from then. They obviously take the onus to go ahead and make sure that they're getting a lot of hats to the ball.
What's it like as a receiver when you're on the field and you're watching Matthew and the kind of zone that he's in? He's looking off safeties, I think, like he did on the
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. I'm used to seeing it now. I was wowed by it, and then I mean, especially the touchdown to me is crazy because he didn't even start there and he moves back, and then the natural inclination is just see it and throw it, but his brain is still working to move people, in the last minute like that. So, I mean, it's a hell of a tool that he's obviously worked on for a long time, and it takes a different type of talent and different type of human to be able to do that consistently and throw good balls, obviously. But that's one of his biggest things, and he makes it work for sure. Yeah. I mean, not so much in coverage. Obviously, more so in the slot or running routes up the middle of the field. He does a good job just having good speed, being able to carry receivers, and good zone awareness. I mean, he's one of those dudes. He's one of the best in the league, if not the best, middle guy. So he's worked on it, and I think what I respect about him so much is just that it's not conditional. It's every single play. He brings the same intentionality and speed and just reckless abandon that you kind of old school football. So it's fun to watch. I don't like getting hit by it, but it's still fun to watch though.
First 4 weeks of the season, just how have you felt personally in terms of just the way you've been able to contribute? You talked about how you felt rejuvenated being part of this team, but now being able to contribute the way you have, what's it been like for you?
It's been good, man. It's been good. I think this. Never really know exactly how it's going to pan out when you have the type of weapons we have and as many people that you can get the ball to. It's only so many balls to go around. But like I said before, that the amount of we just making the most of what we get here. I mean, Puka is the same, and he's doing exactly that. Tutu, anytime anybody's targeted or gets an opportunity, it's just about making the most versus counting how many balls you get. I can't throw the ball to myself. I don't call the plays. I just go out and run the routes, and that goes with every receiver in this league. So if you just have that on your mind and have scoring and moving the ball in your mind, then you'll like the Rams offense.
Going back to Matthew, is there stuff you ever watch on film that maybe you didn't see live, like a movie makes, like looking up a player and say like that wows you too?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to just pinpoint, but he's done it honestly. I think more than what you guys even can see with the naked eye. Sometimes he does certain things where his shoulders will change. You'll see him. It may not be the eyes, but he'll be positioned one way, and you can just see the defense flow and the impact that he has. I mean, the touchdown to me, that would have been 10 times harder if he didn't do what he did. So just having the ability to do that, like I said, the last minute, that's a big tool for us.
When you look at Christian McCaffrey, how is he different than the past 2 weeks of what you've seen at the running back position?
I mean, I think the past 2 weeks we played two of the best backs in the league. And then you add Christian McCaffrey, and then it's three of the best backs in the league. Like, he's a fast dude who can bounce outside, he can run downhill, and he can make you pay if you leave even the smallest crease, just like we've faced the past 2 weeks. Like, but I think the biggest threat that he adds is his ability to receive. Like, when you catch him on, like, he's leading them in receptions for a reason. He's leading them in yards for a reason. Like, he's a dangerous back when you get to it.
Two questions. What's with the shades, and what do you see when you're looking at playing against Trent Williams?
But I'll just bright out here. It's just bright out. And Trent, like, I talk about everybody the same thing. Like, Trent's one of the best linemen ever. Like, he's a place ballot Hall of Famer for a reason. He's played in the league for probably, I think he's been in the league longer than I played football. So, like, he kind of understands it. But I think the biggest challenges he adds is, like, with age, he's become more savvy. He's figured out, okay, like, I'm not even going to take this block on head on. I'm going to manipulate it, and he's going to mess with you a little bit, just enough that it makes you not be able to make the play. But he's also still that dominant version of Trent where it's like he can kick set, he can get right in front of you, he can eat power, he can stop you in the pass rush. Like, he has a lot of things that you got to focus on to be able to be successful against him.
When you're going against someone that accomplished and that you obviously respect, does that change in any way your conversation with him on the field or the kinds of things you might give him?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't lie down for anybody. I don't change up how I am for anybody, but also am not, dumb. I'd rather let a sleeping giant sleep. Like, I'm not going to wake up nobody that's, minding their business, like, especially somebody like that.
How much do you feel like personal momentum from game to game carry over energy that you had from like last week's performance into the next game, or do they feel like separate entities?
It's a whole different thing. I try to wipe my memory clean after every game. Whether we just had the best game, the worst game, wipe it clean because everything can change in a snap. I can go out for the next game all high and everything like that, and then, we have a bad play. They gash us for 30, and now I'm in a bad mood because I was high all week. Like, I want to focus on the next play, and that's it.
Mac Jones called you guys the best defense in the NFL today. Do you feel like the best defense in the NFL? And if not, or so, how do you feel like the respect this defense is getting this year compared to maybe last year?
Yeah, no, I feel like we're definitely getting a lot more respect. To say we're the best defense, that can be neither here nor there. I think we got a lot of things to work on, but I'm not really focused too much on being like the best defense, in the league, the best defense in the NFC West. I'm focused on being the best version of us. If we're the best version of us, we can dog anybody, but that starts with today. Today we had to double up on run and pass because it's a short week. Let's see how well we did it.
When you, get moved around in the formation like you did on that one snap where you just kind of like ran over the center, is that something that you enjoy, and how much do you work on those sort of things?
Well, I tried to talk them into doing that for like 3 weeks. Like, they wouldn't do it, and then I threw it out this week, and last week, and they randomly added it in, and I was like, all right, let's try it. Like, I didn't think they were going to call it in game. They called it, and I'm like, all right, bet. Like, I got to make this worth it. Like, I got to keep this call in. But, no, it's something I enjoy. I like being in different positions because, like, it's not often I get to go up against a center or a guard and, use my speed, my, power, be able to play them games from a different, position. I like it.
How do you get that time?
With them specifically, it was kind of like, all right, if he's not going here, you kind of got to look at his head movement, his kind of, motions, the little small twitch his fingers here and there. Like, I kind of figured out, okay, he's not going on the first one, he's probably going to go on the second one. And if he didn't, it was probably going to be an offsides.
The moving back and forth pre-snap, is that something you normally do when you're in a alignment like that, or I guess, like, where did you get that?
Yeah, no, it's all over the place. Like, usually I'll move left to right. Me and BY, we have a couple plays where, me and him will switch completely, like, positions. Like, we'll be, like, on the inside, moving around, and we'll start in completely different spots than where we're going to end up. I like that. It just kind of messes with them. It gives them a little second where they got to hesitate, and that one small second can be where you take advantage of them.
Do you see more confidence from BY this year?
Oh, way more. I mean, BY's always been like a confident guy. He's always been a dog. But like when you see the work that he's put in, and for some reason Pilates is his magic power, he's dominant in every aspect. Like he's leading the league in sacks, and like as much as he hates for me to mention it, like that's just a product of the work he's put in. Like I've seen what he's been doing in the offseason, and he deserves every bit. But it's not even. I don't even think he's opened the gate to like what he's able to do.
I think it was Mike Lafleur, the offensive coordinator, who said that the way Puka plays also not only inspires the offense but inspires the defense. Just curious if that's true and if you could expand.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, Puka's probably the best wide receiver I've ever been around, Probably the best wide receiver I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. Like, I'm watching this dude, and I'm like, I see the ball up in the air, and like with most people, I'm like, damn, is he gonna catch it? Is he gonna catch it? I literally looked like Puka had some crazy catch on Sunday, and I looked at BY. I was like, yeah, but we can sit back down like it's a first down. Like we good, we good. Like you just know he's gonna make a play every chance he gets. But y'all have a good one.
Two less cuss words this week. Talked before about the amount of space that Trent Warner
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's an excellent player. He's great in the run, great in the pass. He's a really intelligent player, good blitzer. Everything you'd want in a linebacker, he's got it, and got great command over what they're doing as well. So he's always the, kind of the heartbeat of that defense and makes it go. So it's always a big challenge going against Fred.
When it matters most, it feels like you're playing your best ball, like in the fourth quarter. Is that something you feel like you've always had, or is that something you kind of developed over the course of your career?
Probably a little bit of a mix, but I feel like I've kind of always liked those moments. I'd rather have the ball or be it bad or whatever than be sitting on the sideline, watching somebody else do it. I'd rather put myself out there, and if I fail, I fail, but I'd rather it be me. So I don't know. I guess I've always kind of liked that. I feel like you have a better understanding for every situation that you're in, the more experience that I accumulate. So a little bit of both.
How would you describe?
So calm in the huddle that it kind of takes them out of how intense the situation might be. Is that something you consciously do, or is that just how you are?
No, I guess that's just how I am. I've never thought about it, but I'm sure guys getting in huddles with different guys, and realizing everybody's personality is different than the intricacies of how they play the game and call it. But no, I think that's just, I try to be myself. I'm thinking about a million different other things as well. So I'm trying to do everything I can to get our team in the best play and then go execute it. But I guess I feel like staying calm, at least before the play, is a good thing.
What is it about the 49ers-Rams that means rivalry to you?
Well, I mean, I think for the last, 8-10 years, they've been really good football teams. And, it's been great battles. The games have meant a lot, whether they're early in the season, they mean a lot later on, or they're happening later in the season, and they mean a lot. So all of our division games are tough. I feel like we've got a great division, if not the best division in football at the moment. So the 49ers are no different. Big challenge. I think 2 really good head coaches, 2 great coordinators on both sides. I mean, it's good players. It's everything you want in a matchup.
In terms of looking off receivers or looking off defenders, moving with your eyes, is that something that you developed early in your career, or did you ever have an issue with having to develop that skill? And when do you feel like you really started to master that?
I don't know. I feel like I've done it for a while. I think it's something you continue to develop as I do everything in my game. I try to, at least. Try to get better and find new ways of doing stuff every season. Watch around the league, see other guys do certain things. I remember early in my career, maybe not quite the same way we do it, but I thought, Drew was great with his eyes. Breeze did a great job of moving defenders, and then resetting and throwing. But I don't know, just try to build on the game, build on my game as best I can every single year, and that's definitely been a part of it.
Since you got to the NFL, have you ever worn the play sheet on purpose?
I think we did a little bit my time in Detroit when Jim Bob was our coordinator and Matty P was our head coach. There were like a few specialties we put on there, but majority of the time, no, nothing for like the full game, just for some specialty stuff.
What goes into your decision about, clearly you don't wear one, but what goes into the decision to whether you do it or not wear one?
For me, I feel more comfortable when I hear it. I got to see it. If I don't see it, then I don't feel right about it. And sometimes when I'm reading something, it happens to guys in the league. You see it sometimes, around the league. They call the play, break the huddle, walk to the line and go, and have to reread it. And that's just because sometimes I feel like when you read it, you don't maybe not see it, And for me, I feel more comfortable seeing it. Now, is it, maybe a tick longer coming from the coach than to me rather than going right hash 32, boom, being able to read it off. But we've been pretty good about being able to, not have a bunch of timeouts that we're burning and doing all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times Sean, starts it and I kind of know where we're going. Maybe it narrows it down to 1 or 2 or 3 in my head, and then I get in there and he's still talking and we go.
Do you have a problem ever with communication? Like, ever, like, a headset go out or anything?
Yeah, it's happened. It happened in New England back in the day a lot. But no, it's happened a few places. Sometimes technical stuff. It's above my pay grade. I don't understand all that stuff, but sometimes it happens. Yeah.
We talked with you a lot early in the season about developing the chemistry with the new receivers. But when you're in year 3 with someone like, where does that allow you to go as a receiver?
I mean, it's just it's a combination of a bunch of reps is what it is. Reading body language, understanding plays that maybe we've run together in the past that we call different now against a different look that might shake out the same. It's just every time you get reps with guys, those bank in your head, on what you could do better, or, oh man, let's do that again, whatever that is. So just, he's been on the field a lot. The first couple of years we've been lucky to have him on the field a lot and gotten a ton of reps with him. So just trying to continue to give him opportunities to do what he does best, which is, go get open, catch the ball, run, do all those things, just like I'm trying to do with, all our guys as best I can.
On your Mike tape from Sunday, there was like a moment where you told him gave him a playoff, basically. What happened on that?
Gave him a playoff. I haven't seen the whole mic'd up. Is that what did I say? Did I?
You just I gave you that one, like to catch his breath.
Oh, yeah. That was in that 2-minute drive before the half. Yeah, I ripped the basic into Higbee on that play. I think he had like 3 or 4 plays in a row catching the ball. We were just jumped the ball again. The defense kind of helped get there, but I tried to help put an underneath defender on him so we could get behind him. Ended up getting it done, and it worked. But in my head, I was like, man, this is a route where, like, if you're ultra fresh and you come off the ball, you got a better chance of getting open. And I knew he was, kind of tired. Those are things that just happen organically throughout a game where you just try to read guys and help out where you can.
After the game, you talked about the pass to Tutu. It wasn't the first option. Did you know there were 10 guys on the field when you took the snap, and when did you know to go to him?
Well, it's not the first read. I mean, I don't think I've thrown that route on that play since I've been here. I know that I have in a game. I have not. I don't think. So it's very rarely thrown. Knew they were in man coverage. Was not expecting to see 10 coming out of the break, but I think it was going to be another backer that would have guarded the back. I don't think it would have affected that play. As far as where it went, it wasn't like they were going to, have 2 over there or something like that. So it didn't affect the play too much. Just probably helped if I would have thrown it to the back, he'd have been pretty open probably.
Puka, through your last game with the Niners, there was that clip of you and Fred Warner swapping jerseys and talking about just the amount of space that you can cover. How do you feel that as a receiver?
It's good. It's tough to have, a real comparison, but you just see from the silent tape to being out there on the field of just the kind of the presence that you can feel as spatial awareness. You're running routes, you're in there, and you can feel the wingspan and the dread movement of number 54. So he does a good job of covering space for sure.
A few weeks ago, I was asking Matthew about your physicality, and he said it's not so easy. Like, basically, like when you learn to protect yourself versus just make the hit. He said it's not so easy after you play one way for 3 hours to then just switch off like that. Can you switch it off? Do you? And how do you do that?
I guess is he saying that like you switch off?
In the middle. So like basically, could you step out of bounds and not get the extra 2 yards? I know that's not how you play clearly, but do you ever make that choice in the moment?
I would say no. I never. No, it's definitely not something. Yeah, some of those second thoughts. Yeah, they just never make it to the front.
Does anyone on the coaching staff or anyone try and guide you in that direction just to protect you?
No, I think it definitely comes in other ways. I think it is something when you watch the tape and when they're evaluating number 12, that some of the just like the kind of physicality is just kind of what you expect. So I'm sure they think of other ways. They're like, man, on that run play, taking some unnecessary falls, but also I see them as necessary, sacrifice for your back. So, no, I know they're looking out for me, but I love that part of it.
This Rams 49ers goes back generations. In your 3 years, how would you describe what makes this rivalry unique?
I think for me, it takes me back home. I remember watching young Fred Warner out there playing with my older brother and being like, hey, I know that guy. That's the guy I've seen in the locker room. And so those are some of the moments that immediately started on the Rams 49ers. And then some of those moments where I've been at the bottom of the pile and Fred Warner's even like, yeah, Pook. Just competitive. I think the phrase that Coach McVay says is competitive stamina. And I think every time we played them, ever since my first home game for the Rams, 2023, of seeing that sea of red enter the stadium and what it feel like to play against them and know that we're going all the way to that final whistle blows.
You were in college at the time when Cooper had his Triple Crown season in 2021. Do you remember, have any recollections of watching him during that year and how those stats were piling up?
Sadly, I don't recall too much, and I never was a fantasy player, so I never caught the buzz either. But especially just being here, having those conversations with from Matthew to Coach McVay and other people who have come into this building of things that they've watched, just the consistent pace of how he moves, and I think it comes back to that the communication that comes from Matthew of being able to understand everything from a bigger picture, and allows you to kind of have that spatial awareness out on the field and try to maximize those opportunities.
Speaking of that big picture understanding, what's it like for you guys on the field when Matthew's in the kind of zone where he can, where he's looking off a safety and firing off a touchdown pass like he did to Davante last Sunday?
Yeah, I think the confidence that we bounce around in the huddle with is definitely felt by everybody. I think you can feel his mojo, one of the leader and the general that he is for our offense, but then kind of some of those things you don't see naturally from Matthew Stafford of maybe it is a little flex or a little extra grunt after something like that. We recognize those and we applaud those because it's an extra juice for everybody else in the offense.
We've heard a lot about just how calm Matthew is in those clutch situations, and how that kind of spreads to the rest of the team. How does that impact you personally when he's just so steady in those moments?
I think as a receiver, I mean, the high pressure moments, especially when the last couple weeks come right into 2-minute drills where we're trying to execute and the communication is at a premium. That steadiness that you feel from the first snap when you can hear everybody and you could scream out to everybody, somebody on the left side of the field, to where we can't hear anybody and we're on the silent count, and the steadiness that he has, I think for me tracking the ball and just maybe slows my heart rate down a little bit so I can see it spin a couple of extra times, but it definitely does have a huge impact.
Sean said yesterday that he could see on the tape the level of trust you have in Matthew in terms of that he's going to lead you with the ball in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
When you are playing with that level of trust, how does that make you as a receiver?
I think, man, you run your routes with just that extra bit of confidence of there is no fear. I feel like that's a motto that I say before the games, but especially as a wide receiver of, man, that in cut of trusting that, hey, feeling that spatial awareness, but also feeling that, man, this ball, even if there is a defender, it's gonna be there to protect me. One, I can make a play on the ball, but also try to avoid me from the big hit and keep me away from the defenders, or if it's zone coverage and he's putting the ball on the right shoulder so I can turn and get upfield as fast as possible away from the nearest defender. So those are some of those things where you get those reps in training camp and it just feels like a normal kind of shallow sit down, but it comes to life later in the year.
Puka, if you go back to your rookie year, whether it was training camp or rookie season, what's the first thought about that trust or that elite skill set from Matthew?
I think it was definitely an OTA's rep of kind of an in cut and having a safety being ready to fit there. And luckily, it was one with no pads on. So I'm sure there were a couple throws where he's like, "Hey, kid, I'm trying to keep your head on after this play," and it maybe took a couple of them, but I'm grateful that they happened with nobody hitting me.
Puka, do you prepare any differently for the 49ers, knowing their defensive, strengths, basically?
I think it's in a way it's the physicality. I think that's something that stands out from some of the other teams that we play. That is a characteristic of their defense that they hold and they hold a lot of pride in. So, and I think that's an identity that we've been working on this year. So it's going to be fun to be out there on Thursday and share what